Welcome to Microsoft Excel with EJD. In this video, we'll be looking at array formulas in Excel. Array formulas in Excel. And when we looked at Python, right, we saw how we could do different things with arrays, especially using NumPy. In Excel, we have something similar. Of course, that is exactly the purpose of this. So we'll be using this student attendance sheet. But before we go for all of that, we need to look at the idea of arrays in general. So when we talk about arrays, right, we are talking about instead of carrying out operation on just a single cell, you are doing the operation on two or more cells. And that is exactly what the idea of array is about. All right. So in this case now, we'll do some general things with this first sheet, and then we'll look at an attendance register, say for a school, as people come and each day they are in school, they actually get to, mark their attendance, whether they are late or early or absent and all of that. So we'll be using the idea of arrays on all of that. Okay. So first of all, okay, and of course we also look at some kind of summaries. Let me expand this right now. Be looking at some kind of summaries. We'll come for all of that. All right. So first of all, an array formula in Excel is a powerful formula that performs multiple calculations on one or more items in an array. An array, like I said, is a range of cells. It's a row, a column, or a combination. So it can return either a single result or multiple results. With the introduction of dynamic arrays in Excel 365 and Excel 2019, array formulas have become more intuitive and flexible. So here I'll be looking at the basic arrays, right? And in the next video, I'll be looking at this dynamic arrays. So let's go for that. So first of all, let's talk about types of arrays, right? So we have single cell array formula. Like you want to, this one returns one value for multiple calculations, one formula for multiple calculations. So in that case, maybe if you're trying to sum things up and all that, that's a very good example. Like you want to calculate the sum of products between two ranges. All right. I mean, we've done that quite a number of times. So, and we're going to see something like that, like this kind of conditional summing now. So we are summing, want to sum all the values belonging to, we have the students and their scores. We have Daniel 60, Peditin 34, Daniel 73, Toho 87, Peditin 43, Daniel 67, Toho 54, Toho 65, Peditin 76, Peditin 60. We have these names and they are different. And, the names are appearing. It's more like you're playing a kind of game that where you take turns to play and, we have your scores recorded, something like that. So you may sum up the score for each person separately and things like that, right? So that is, so in that case, it gives you just a single value. So single cell array returns one value for multiple calculations. So then you can also have multiple cell array formula. Like you may want to transpose, for instance, I've given the example of this one now. What if I want to transpose this whole range? Okay, so I want to transpose, say, okay, so multiple cell array formula returns multiple values into a range of cells, right? In fact, this is a very good example of that. If you're removing duplicates now, so you have your result, it just gives you unique names appearing. Or when you sort, also if you sort according to certain criteria, you have this. So we'll come back to all of this. So I'm just running through for now. So how about entering array formulas, right? To pre-dynamic Excel. So before we come to Excel 365 and Excel 2019 Plus, in 2016 and earlier, you must enter array formulas using Ctrl+Shift+Enter, also called CSV formulas. Excel places curly braces around the formula to indicate it's an array formula. But now we don't have to worry about that too much because we are dealing with dynamic arrays, or at least the environment is adaptable for dynamic arrays, and we don't have to worry about all of that. So dynamic arrays in Excel 365 and Excel 2019 Plus, array formulas are entered normally. You just press enter, just say is equal to something and press enter. In that case, Excel spills results automatically across the needed range, as you are going to see very soon. Okay, now let's talk about common uses of array formulas. And that's where we begin to look at the things I have going on here. Okay, so we have some students and we have their scores. Interestingly, we have just three students, just Daniel, Pedeti, and Toho. But the only thing is that we have them coming up a number of times. So what if I want to add? So if you look at this now, I'm trying to sum up all the scores belonging to Daniel. So in that case, I just say sum from 80 to A11. So 80 to A11 is like our reference, right? So in this case, now to add up all the values in B2 to B11 belonging to wherever you have Daniel. For instance, Daniel has 60, Daniel has 73, Daniel has 67. So if you add all that together, so I mean the code for that is this. So you have sum 80 to A1 Daniel, and then you have star B2 to B11. So what this is going to do is that like it's going to look through all the scores and just add up whatever scores belong to Daniel, right? And if you press enter, you get 200. Now to confirm that, right, we can just say is equal to sum. That's our traditional way of summing. So just add 60 here plus another Daniel 73 plus the last Daniel this, and that's why you have this 200 right here. Okay, so we can do that conditional summing. This is easy because I can do this something because it's the data set is very short. We have just 10 data points. But what if you have like 1,000? It will be difficult to do this summing. But since these are just the people, so we can just use this conditional thing and we get our results straight up. All right. So if I want to change it, we can have the same. I can just come here and change it for, okay, let's say I copy the same thing, all right, and I come here and I paste, it has changed now because of this range, right? So we have B2 to B11. So now here we have A2 to A11. Okay, so here it has to still be A2 to A11 because it is the same data, A2 to A11. And now instead of there, maybe I just want quality. Okay, and then we now have to sum up the scores from B2 to B11. Enter. So that's 213. So those are the scores for editing, right? So we can keep doing that. Another use for array formulas is to remove duplicates. Now, if you look at these students now, you have Daniel Pediting, Daniel Toho, Pediting, Daniel Toho, Pediting. So you have all those repetitions like that. So what if you're just interested in knowing all the unique people on that list? So in that case, you can use another function. So here, we had used, okay, I mean, it's just a regular sum, except for the way we called all of these things. So, but here we have a formula, a function called the unique formula. So if you double click this now, you see is equal to unique A2 to A1. I mean A2 to A11. So it will help you extract the unique names appearing on that list. So and once you press enter, it gives you those unique names. I mean to see another. I mean I just want to do exactly the same thing. I just say is equal to unique. All right, is equal to unique. Then A2 to A11. So press enter, then it just outputs all these three. So these are the names that are there without repetition. And then you can use array formulas for sorting. You can use array formulas for sorting. Of course, sorting is about arranging stuff, right? For instance, you want to sort the students' scores, right? So look at this now. You just have this. You have this. So you just say is equal to sort A2 to A11. So it will sort the names. So although there's repetition, right? So it will sort it according to in alphabetical order. There, according to and then total like that. What if we want to sort the scores, right? The scores, are all scattered now. So I think the smallest is 34 and the highest is 87. So you may want to sort that to simple formula. Just come here and say is equal to sort. Then that will be B2 to B11. Enter. So you see it helps to sort the scores in ascending order. So instead of having 60 and 60 starting, 60 ending, it has helped you to sort all that. So you now have 34 starting and then 87 ending like that. So you can sort any of the columns. So another thing we want to do is to filter. So you can filter based on certain criteria. All right. For instance, if I want to filter, of course, you already saw that. So just is equal to. So you want to filter A2 to B11. A2 to B11 talks about the whole range. If you come here, so that's talked about range. That's the first cell of the data set to the last one. So so of course, where you have values now, A2 to B11. That's the whole range. That is, if you highlight the whole thing now, the first cell and the last cell, that gives you the range. Okay. So to filter, you need that range. So you want to filter based on this criteria. So filter A2 to B11 for those who have scores of 60, if you want people that have a score of 60, so you just say filter the whole range for everybody who had 60 as their score. So if you press enter, it will give you Daniel and Kwedeti, because these are two people that have a score of 60 at some point, right? So you see Daniel 60, Kwedeti 60. So that's some filtering. So you can also filter based on some other criteria. Let's say, okay, let me just copy this now. I think it's better to make it bigger as usual. So here now, still talking about filtering. So you want to know someone who got, let me see. Okay. Okay, let me copy this. I want to try something out. I hope it works. Okay. So come here and I want to say, I want people who got more than 60, right? So I just come and paste that. But then instead of that bigger, greater than, I mean, equal 60, I just say greater than 60 and I press enter. So it will give us these people who have, so you can see where all these scores are greater than 60, right? So that's one way to filter. So what if you want to find the sum of the squares, right? So some of the squares of the values, that is. So you just, okay, I'm back here now. Okay, now this. Why is the filter just the one opening? Okay. Okay, I guess I want to move this one down. Cut this off and move it down, down, down. Okay. So I need sum of squares, right? Of those values. So I'll just say is equal to sum B2 to B11 all squared. That's all. And that just gives me the sum of the squares. So if I want to do it the primitive way, I'll just say this is equal to this raised to power 2. I mean this raised to power 2. Okay. B2 raised to power 2. Enter. Okay. Then I drag it down. Drag it down. All right. And then I find the sum of that is equal to sum. Now it will be C2 to C11. Okay. So I have this 5059 down here. 5059 down here. Okay. So you see, this is a very fast way to get to our results. Okay. Let me find my way there. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So instead of doing that long thing, I just say B2 to B11 all squared, and we just get our result straight up. Then you can find maximum of values meeting the condition. So you can just come here and say if so you say is equal to maximum if A2 to A11, that's where you have the names. If A2 to A11 is Toho, so find the maximum value, the maximum score that Toho got, just press enter, you have 87. So if you copy this and bring it here, bring it to another cell. So in this case now we have to change instead. So we check all the names for, say we now want editing, right? So we want to know the final the maximum score by editing, and that just gives us, okay, I think the problem here is the range now. So we have A2 to A11, and then this C2 because I moved it one step, so it changed all of that. So B2 to B11, and then you get the results. So the highest score by editing is 76. So if you go back there, you see all that. Okay. So of course, this was just to demonstrate that square thing. Okay. So you have crediting here. Okay, 34, 43, 76, and 60. So 70 is the highest. So we have all these possibilities right there. So, of course, dynamic arrays belong to the new, the new version of Excel. So we'll be talking about that in the next video. But before this is over, let's go ahead and look at of course, the sum of squares and maximum of values meeting the condition, those are legacy array formulas. Those last two examples I did now. I mean, this sum of squares and all this, they are like legacy. They've always been there. All right. So, and we know some benefits of array functions. The array formulas reduces the number of, they reduce the need for helper columns, and it allows, array formulas allow complex calculations in a single cell, and they work well with data transformation and analysis. And what are the things you should watch out for? Older Excel versions, we need that CSE, Ctrl+Shift+Enter. Then large array formulas can be computationally heavy. Then spilled arrays can overwrite data if not placed carefully. You can imagine when I was, I did sorting here for names. So I think, yeah, imagine I did sorting here for values greater than 60. So it can overwrite some data if you're not careful. So if you're doing those array kind of thing, that will require more than one cell. So you need to be sure you have enough space so that it doesn't overlap another. So you want to pay attention to that. And some best practices include using dynamic array functions where possible. That, of course, I'll be talking about dynamic array functions in the next video fully. Things like sequence and so on and so forth. Then always check for spilled range errors. If there's a spill, check. Then name ranges or use structured references for clarity. Then use @ symbol wisely. That is introduced in dynamic Excel to prevent unintended spilling. Okay. When we get there, we might be able to see all of this. But before I conclude, let's look at a register. So imagine a student attendance sheet where you have 20 students, and we take their attendance for 10 days of the month. So from January 1st to January 1st to January 14th, that is 10 school days in all. All right. So, and you have 20 students: Abe, Baidu, Blake, Clara, Dayo, Daniel, Eli, Eric, Hu, Katie, Kunle, Layo, Pediti, and all, Pierre, Sue, Toho, Wu, Shu, Yon, and Zara. You have all of this. So now, anytime if they come late to school, that's L. If they come early, that's E. They come if they're absent, that is A. So for each day, we find a way of getting this to happen. So for Abe now, Abe was late on the first day. On the second day, he was early. On the third day, he was late. On the fourth day, he was absent, and so on and so forth. For Zara, the last person, yeah, the names have been arranged in alphabetical order, and these are made up names, by the way. So Zara was late the first day, second day absent, third day early, fourth day late, fifth day absent, and late all the other days, right? So of course, absent, early and late mean they are present at least, right? So if you want to know if they are present or not, so that means you add up all the days they came early and the days they came late. Absent is that they were not in school at all. So if you want to find the total of early for each of the students, right? So you just use, okay, let me expand this part for clarity's sake. So if you want to know the total number of days that each student was early or late, okay. So for Abe now, the first person. Okay, I think in this case now, it is very useful to you want to always see the student name and all that. So you may have to freeze the column or something like that. Let me see. Where do we get that again? Is it review? No. Here. Yes, freeze panes. So you can click here, all right, and then you want to freeze. What can I freeze second column by choice? Freeze. Okay, let me just freeze first column, or maybe let me see if this has frozen now. Okay, it's only freezing first column. Okay, so now we are not able to see the names of the people, but that's okay. So we want to see total number of days that each one is early, late, or present. So for the first student, now that's Abe. So total early. So this is the formula for it. It just says equal to count if. So that's conditional counting. So you're counting, from so the attendance ranges from C2, as you can see here, to the last day, the day 10, C2 to L2. So you are going to count you're going to check from C2 to L2. Anywhere there is E, so that's the number of days that the Abby was early. Then you do the same, but now count if from C2 to L2, the number of L's you have, that's the number of days that Abby was late. So that's 3 here. Of course, total present, you just add these two together, that's 7. For absent now, you do the same formula, is equal to count if C2 to L2 absent, all right? And that's 3. Then, of course, the grand total is adding all the 3 together, and you have, so late, late total, uh, okay, that'll be total present plus total absent will give the grand total, basically. That's 10. So you can now calculate the attendance rate for that person, okay? So the attendance rate for Abby is 70%. So 7 out of 10 times Abby was in school, all right? So we can just drag this down for the rest of the students. So once this arrow shows, just drag it all the way down, and it takes care of the number of days. So you can just do all that. Okay. That's done. Then here again, drag it down. That's settled. So the person with the highest attendance is the ninth student. In fact, the ninth student attended 9 times. That's who? Okay. 9 times. That's the most regular student, so to speak. Then we can also drag this down to find the number of absent days of days each student was absent. And then of course the grand total, of course, we expect that to always be 10. Okay. So I have this. Okay, that's 10 all the way. So we can then calculate the attendance rate. The attendance rate will simply be total present, that's O2, total present O2 divided by total, grand total that, maybe I don't even, well, I mean, the grand total is just there. We can always remove it because it's generic. So we can just say total present O2 divided by 10, we can always do that. But since we have the grand total everywhere, so we can just leave that and we have it like that. Okay. So the most punctual student is who? Student 9. And the most the student that is not not that the least punctual, that is, oh, I think we have 2 of them with 0.4. That's okay. I mean, if we want it in percentage, right? Percentage, this is, if you want it in percentage, we have to multiply by 100, right? So I can drag this now since I said it's percentage. Okay. So if I don't want percentage, I'll just leave it at 0.7. So we see student 4, that is Clara, and then another, let's see the other student with 40% rate of attendance. So and Clara and Sue, they are the least present student. But beyond this now, we can also go for the summary. So what if you want to know total students early on the first day of resumption? So how many students were early? So what we did before was for each student, because you took a row by row. So that's for each student. But you want to know overall how many students were early on the first day of resumption. Okay, that's a very difficult day to be in school, first day of the year. So you have it's just is equal to count if register, because I'm referring to cells C2 to C21 register in the register sheet. So we use the exclamation mark to refer to that. So I just say register. So that means cells C2 to C21 in the sheet called register. And then you're counting all the E's, all the E's like that. So, and that is, in that case, now, if you look at this register now, we are looking at students that came to school on this day. That's cell C. Okay, we are counting all the E's. So how many students came early on that day? 7 of them based on that. Then total students that were late on the first day of January 2025. So you just count all the L's too in the same place. What about the total students absent on that first day? Of course, you just do the same. You just count all the A's. Then how about you want to calculate overall attendance rate, all students across all days. So it means you need to get all the days that, you have 20 students and we are looking at attendance for 10 days. So it means that we are going to have 200. The total is going to be 200, right? So if you look at this, you just say sum, count if register, C2 to CL C2 to L2, that's the whole range of the data set. So of course, people who are present are both people who are early and people who are late. So you do for the E, so register CL2, C2 to L2, that's the whole range of the data set. So it counts all the E's. Then count if register CL2, L2, count all the late commas, and then yes, then you sum up the two. Once you sum that up, then you now count A for the whole register. So count A means you're counting the whole the whole range. That's C2 to L21 again now. So if you do that and press enter, you get overall attendance rate of 0.655. You can also make it in percentage, right? And then you just come here and multiply this by 100, and then that gives you 65.5%, right? So how about students absent more than 2 days? So you want to know, of all the 10 days and of all the 20 students, how many of the students were absent for more than 2 days, right? So the formula for that is equal to sum dash dash MMULT, then dash dash the register C2 to L2, then A, all right? So you are looking for those who are absent, then you transpose the column, and for the register C2 to L2, this 0 greater than 2. So that means you are going to get students absent more than 2 days, and there are 15 of them. So if you come here now, so I mean, you can check that under the number of absentees, right? Just look at total absent, So students are absent more than 2 days. 3 days, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This person was absent one day. We don't count that. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Not part of it because this is 2 days. That's 13, right? 14. And then yeah, that was 15, right? So you don't count 2 downwards, you don't count. So but from 3 upwards, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so that tallies with what we have here. So the formula looks a bit clumsy, but just give it a look again. All right. Then what about list of students late at least once? So you want to know a student who has been late at least once. How many students were late at least once? So it means that's like saying, yeah, at least if a student was late at least once, we want to see them. So the formula again is looking like this. So you have some, those who are late now, and transpose the column here, and then greater than 0. So that means if you are late 0 times, you are not part of this. So it means that 19 of them were late once at least. So if you look at the register, it means only one person was never late. Let's fish out that person. Never late. Total late 3. Yeah, we have one person who was never late. So total late is 0. So that person is Eli, right? Eli was never late, and that's why. But the rest of them, all the other 19 guys, were late at some point. All right. So that's that for this video. So really interesting when we talk about array formulas. All right. So you want to get yourself familiarized with this. So you see that array formulas are essential for advanced Excel users, enabling elegant and efficient solutions to complex tasks. While legacy CSV formulas still work, modern Excel dynamic arrays make array formulas more accessible and powerful, transforming how data is manipulated and visualized. So mastering array formulas is a significant step toward Excel expertise. So if you want to be seen as an Excel guru, you should be able to use array formulas, at least the very basic ones. Even if you don't go as far as using very complicated formulas as this, but you should be able to use things like count if, count if, and the original ones we saw there, all this filtering, sorting, sum of an array and things like the sum of squares and the rest of them. So let me know how helpful this video is for you. If there's something that you'd like me to try, feel free to let me know, and I'm able to pull that off. If you have not subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can also get alerted each time a new video is released. You can also become a member of my channel by clicking on join. All right, so click on join. You find 3 levels of membership you can be part of to get some special privileges. You find all of it listed. Be sure to like and share this video also so that more people can have access to it. Till I come your way again, keep doing data right. Bye.